Hello, everybody, and welcome to Beyond the Wind, the podcast about the Kingkiller Chronicles written by Patrick Rothfuss. I am Leonard, and I'm accompanied by my friend Marcy. Hi, Marcy.
Hi, Leo.
Are you doing good?
I'm doing good, yeah. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. What about the chapters that we are going through today? Which one are they?
Today we're going to chapters 8, 9, and 10.
All right.
And yeah, I think we have, as usual, some things from the last episode we would like to quickly mention.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think then we can already start, right?
Yep.
So, in the last episode, we discussed what the relation is between Quoth and Bast. And yeah, there are some theories that Bast might be the son of Quoth and Felurian, or maybe he is Quoth's father. And you also mentioned that it might be possible that they are in a relationship, in a romantic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And one of our listeners commented in our YouTube video that it is actually confirmed that Bast is bisexual. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's something that would maybe improve, yeah, the your theory.
Mm-hmm. It's still a long shot, but a, a little bit more possible now.
Yes. Yeah, good detail.
Mm-hmm.
And this information is was mentioned in The Narrow Road Between Desires. It's a little
Mm-hmm.
novel about Bast. So there are two novels out. It's this one and the other one is about Auri.
Mm-hmm.
How is it called? Do you remember? Um,
Mm. I don't remember the name. I know I read the one about Ari, but I didn't know the read the other one yet.
mhm. Yeah. So at least now we know Bast is actually bisexual, and yeah, we'll see
Mm-hmm.
if we get to see more about that.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, we discussed, this was just a short mentioning. Quoth and Bast said to each other, listen to me 3 times, and I hear you 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And we were discussing if it's maybe some Fey saying. And yeah, we also got the comment that we heard this saying somewhere else, and it was when Quoth gets poisoned with this plum-like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, poison. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
And yeah, it made him yeah, his judgment really, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then Simmons said to Quoth, listen to me 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it just seems to be a saying in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, we got a theory from one of our listeners that we talked about that Quoth was betrayed. So
Mm-hmm.
the current code tells the chronicler that he was betrayed, and we don't know by whom.
Mm-hmm.
And one of our listeners has a theory that that person might be Scarpi, and he thinks that maybe the Chandrian aren't that bad, or the Amir aren't that good as they seem to be,
Mm-hmm.
and that belief in Scarpi is actually the betrayal.
Okay. That's a
Yeah,
wild theory. I mean, doesn't make it impossible, but
mhm.
I thought that it was very, from all the songs we hear, it's always the same thing about the dangerous Chandrian and everything.
Yeah,
So that would be not only the
yeah,
Scarpi, that would be the whole world that's betraying growth.
true, true. So there, yeah, there's the theory that actually the Amir killed Quoth's troop, and the
Hmm.
Chandrian just happened to be there afterwards, or
Hmm.
yeah, wanted to see the aftermath.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, this is one theory. And for me, I still definitely think that the Chandrian are bad. I think the story is very much set up for it.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Cinder seems not to be a nice man.
Mm-hmm.
And but I can see that the Amir aren't as nice, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
because they have this saying for the greater good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this motivation really works well for a villain as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I do these bad things for the greater good. I think yeah, has some villainous properties as well.
Mm-hmm. I like this theory actually because I have a lot of difficulties with the good and evil characters generally in fiction because
Hmm.
it's very subjective, right? And
Yeah,
it's always it's always a thing. Like everybody acts for a reason. There is in bad fictions, the bad people just want to destroy the world or something like this that
yeah,
doesn't make any
they are just
sense.
bad. Yeah,
But in most good fictions, the bad people, the evil people, they just want to do the same thing as the good people, but in an other way, in a more
yeah,
cynical way. And
exactly.
I think it's a good thing to keep an eye on to think what are the motives of the people and
Hmm.
what do they want to achieve and how. But I think we can try to discuss less in an evil and good way and more like trying to discuss about what they do and how they do it and why they do it because it will be more interesting, I think, to see
Yeah, definitely.
the real intentions behind the acts.
Yeah, still a big question. What is the motivation for the Chandrian?
Mm,
Yeah, but yeah, it can change a lot whether or not we see them as yeah rather good or rather evil.
hmm
Where are they on that
hmm
scale?
And is it
One
also that I read, if the Chandran are not that bad, is it that Quoth killed the whole troop by himself? Was it the part of this theory?
that Quoth killed his troop himself.
Yeah, and the Cinder came just afterwards, and Quoth thought that Cinder did it. Is it something I read somewhere?
I never heard of it,
Okay.
but
I,
that seems to be a wild theory. So that Quoth himself killed his parents and his troop.
I no, I'm very unsure where I read this, but I've read something like that
Hmm.
in some kind of loss of consciousness or something like this, Crows
Hmm.
started to kill the whole troop, and
Hmm.
and the Chandrian will be the one appearing maybe to stop him or something like this, and
Hmm.
Crows will be like seeing the whole dead people and think it's the Chandrian, but maybe it was him the whole time. I don't know. I'm not. I'm very unsure
That's a
about
wild theory.
where I have this from now, but I
I'm
think
really,
I've read it somewhere.
I'm really very curious of if this theory is actually somewhere out there
Mm.
because for now I can't believe that this 10 or 11-year-old boy would be able to to kill this
Yeah,
troop.
yeah.
But I
Uh,
like it. I like it. It's the classic tinfoil
mhm,
hat theory. Yeah, but one other thing that we talked about, said that maybe Danner is the person who betrayed Quoth,
mhm,
and it might be actually connected to the Chandrian as well, because
mhm,
there are some theories that Danner is working with the Chandrians,
mhm,
or that her patron, this Master Ash,
mhm,
is part of the Chandrian, and she also collects stories of them. And yeah, it might be this mixed up that Dana actually thinks that the Chandrian are good and the Amir are evil,
mhm,
and yeah, it's the other way around for Quoth. And I also think that would be a very nice parallel between those two characters.
mhm,
So maybe Dana's parents were killed by the Emir, and that's why she thinks that they are the bad guys.
mhm,
It's yeah, just a pretty theory, I think.
mhm. Yeah, I can hear that. All
Okay,
right.
that's it, I think, for the recap of the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, with that, I think a quick reminder that we have our watch list where we just keep some things in mind, like the changing eye colors of Quoth or how the sword looks like that he has hung up in his room. Yeah, so there are just these little things that we are trying to look out for, and if we miss any, then maybe our listeners will mention them in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, I think we can start with chapter 8, right?
Yep. Chapter 8 is named Thieves, Heretics, and Wars. And it's the beginning of the whole story of course, and it starts with his childhood with the Edemaru. And in this
Mm-hmm.
chapter, there is the first description of the troop and his life his until it becomes 11, something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I think 10 or 11 years old he's
Mm-hmm.
there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we also get a glimpse of how his mind works and yeah, what stuff he learns as
Mm-hmm.
a trooper. And yeah, we also get introduced to his teacher Ben and
Mm-hmm.
for the first time to the name of the wind.
That's true.
So the
Mm-hmm.
actual name of the wind, not just the book.
Mm-hmm.
So
The
what were your thoughts about this chapter?
the first thing I wanted to talk to you about is um the both the mother and the father, of course, are described with dark hair,
Mm-hmm.
and that's that's I don't know a lot about genetics. I don't know if you do, but
Yeah, I
do
don't either.
I would be curious how possible is it with two parents of dark hair that one kid's as the hair that Crows happens to have.
That's a really, really good question. Um, I think in my mind, it's mostly red hair is more connected to blonde hair.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think yeah, that's more how I see it. And yeah, I don't know how likely it is to have dark hair
Mm-hmm.
and your children have has red hair.
Mm-hmm.
I think that blonde hair is I don't know if I can say it in English, as the reciprocal gene. So the
Recessive.
recessive, yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that the dark hair is more dominant. So
Mm-hmm.
I heard that yeah, blonde hair dies out
Mm-hmm.
and gets less and less likely.
Mm-hmm.
So I think yeah, that speaks more for the dark hair being
Mm-hmm.
also more dominant to red hair.
Okay. So that would also be possible then to have the red hair gene that's just dominated in the parents, but still given to crows. So that would not put a big question mark on where those crows come from, on how his parents really his parents.
Well, if dark hair is dominant, then it would be much unlikely that that Quoth could have red hair. So
Hmm.
yeah, I
But
think
still possible because the parents could have the red hair gene and have given it further.
even yeah, maybe that's the way I I think. But yeah, that's I think too much for my biological knowledge.
That's not
Biology,
beyond the
yeah,
wind, that's beyond our knowledge.
that's beyond our knowledge, right? But yeah, I think that what you mentioned is a good point, and yeah, strengthens the theory that Quoth might be some yeah part at some part some a fae, so that he's not
Hmm.
100% human, and maybe that his mother yeah slept with a fae creature. Who
Hmm.
knows?
Hmm.
And maybe one other thing that also kind of yeah feeds this theory as well. In the beginning of this chapter, Quoth said that To do this, you must remember that before I was anything else, I was one of the Edema-Ru.
Mm-hmm.
And he very often emphasizes that he is Edema-Ru.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he does this because he actually, in his bloodline, isn't Edema-Ru.
Mm-hmm.
But he
As a
is Edema-Ru
compensation.
in heart. Yeah, exactly. So
Mm-hmm.
he is Edema-Ru in heart, but not in his bloodline. Because
Mm-hmm.
we already mentioned the theory that his mother is Natalia Lackless, so
Uh-huh.
also a noble woman.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
we
yeah,
can
it's
talk about it again later because there's a very interesting part in, I think, in the last chapter where he sings about Lady Lactus, right?
I think in this chapter it's already mentioned.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
It's yeah, it says safe perhaps that my mother was a noble before she was a trooper.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like a little seed that her mother, yeah, actually might be a legless. And there are other points that strengthen this theory. But yeah, to come back to this Edema-Ru thing, if his mother is not Edema-Ru,
Mm-hmm.
but a legless, and yeah, she slept with some Fae, who probably isn't Edema-Ru as well. That would mean that in blood, Quoth wouldn't be Edema-Ru.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we know in the story that in heart he is, and maybe this is the reason why he mentioned it so often that yeah, he is Edema-Ru.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could very well be. Yeah, I could go a bit forward. I've read something in chapter 11,
Mm-hmm.
and it's maybe not the topic of today, but I think we are very well connected to the topic, so we should use it.
Yeah.
There's the song about Lady Lackless, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then it sings it in front of its mother, and the mother then tell him to stop and to think more about what he's
Yeah,
saying and
right.
stuff. And so that means, do you think it's in a hint for it to be that Lady Lackless actually is mom?
Yeah, I think that it's really, really likely that she is one of the legless. There are many, many hints across the story.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I don't think that anyone remembers that who hasn't heard the theory before. But when Quoth is at the mayor in Winters at the mayor's,
Mm-hmm.
he he made the other legless woman. How's her name? Eh, I forgot it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, he Quoth made them marry each other basically by writing songs and poems for her. And when they meet, Quoth says that woman seems to be so he seems to remember her from somewhere, but he doesn't know from where.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's also a hint that she looks just familiar to his mom, and that's why he thinks that he knows that woman.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, many many hints that his mom is actually legless and was saved by Quo's father from a miserable hell with sweet music and sweeter words.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, there's another sentence I would like to talk to you about. It's when
Mm-hmm.
at some point it talks about Abanthy for the first time, my first real teacher. And he
Mm-hmm.
says, I ask that you not hold it against him. He meant well.
Mm-hmm.
And they was talking about what Quoth has become, and I think it's the first time that Quoth acknowledged that he maybe didn't do so much right in his life. How do you understand it?
So yeah, you mean that um, his teacher might be a little bit foolish for teaching him to do the stuff because he has done lots of terrible things, yeah?
Most likely, it says, if not for him, I would never have become the man I am today. I ask that you not hold that against him. He meant well.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds very, really much like it.
Mm. I think it's interesting that he's acknowledged it because most of the time, for example, when Quoth was convinced to tell its story, it was about
Mhm,
not having the false rumors and having stories that are the reality and not things that are invented. And that's
mhm,
for the first time he acknowledged that maybe some of the
mhm.
bad rumors about him might be true.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I highlighted that one as well, and also it is said that let me see if I can find it really quick. It's actually said in the next chapter, but Quoth says that he was a good man
Hmm.
and there was no conceit in him. And yeah, I think it's important to keep that in mind that Abinthy or Ben is a good person and yeah, he means well and yeah, is not some evil arcanist because some people I think are theorizing that because he left the troop right before the Chandrian attacked,
Hmm.
that maybe he set them up or that he was connected
Hmm.
to all of that. But I think in these chapter we see that Quoth and Ben are really really good friends, and also that the present time Quoth still thinks very very highly of him.
Hmm. Yeah. And afterwards, there was a lot about the story of where they get rejected in the city and then they are not rejected anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you have any highlights in this.
No highlights. No, I think
Mm,
it's yeah good as you mentioned
mm,
that
mhm,
we see that the troopers aren't in general as loved by everyone as
mhm,
one might think,
mhm,
and yeah, but we
mhm,
also see that they have this Baron, I think,
mm,
who is their patron, and
mhm,
yeah, it helps them to get along. It's actually a quite powerful person, I think.
mhm. Seems like it. Yeah. And then we come to the point where Quoth sees Ben Habanti talking with the mayor, right?
Yeah.
Um, the mayor is about to ask Habanti to leave,
Hmm.
but Ben wants to stay, and it escalates. And at some point, we assume that Ben na- calls the wind and
Hmm.
make the mayor leave.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the first time that we and also Quoth gets to see the name of the wind.
Hmm.
And yeah, somehow this incident puts him on his path on becoming a canist himself.
Hmm. How do you think it works? I mean, I know it's magic, right? But
Hmm.
how do you think it looks like when someone calls the wind? Do you think they are saying words? Are they saying a word? And can anybody say the word and it works? Like, how do you picture it? And if it was a
Uh,
movie, how would you imagine the scene?
I think further in the book we or maybe it's the second book, that some of the master calls the name of the stone, I think, or
Mm-hmm.
fire. Maybe it's fire, and both actually hears
Mm-hmm.
the word fire,
Mm-hmm.
and but actually the master said something, yeah, in some other kind of language.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I assume that when you call a name, then it's just you say something
Mm-hmm.
and I think after that I see it as um, Avatar: The Legend of Aang. If you don't know, if you know the series,
Yeah, I know
then
it.
so yeah, so I see Avanthi there as some airbender.
Right. And but you mean that if you knew the word, you could call the wind. Like it doesn't matter who you are and stuff like this. It's only about knowing the name.
Um, no, I think that there are some people who know this name so well that they actually can call the wind every time.
Mm-hmm.
But in this incident, for example, we also see that Abenthy first calls the wind when he already gets um, yeah, struck and
Mm-hmm.
or staggered and yeah, when he were treated roughly.
Mm-hmm.
So for some people and also for Quoth, when he the first time calls the name of the wind, I think it's you have to be like outraged or something,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're I think it's called the sleeping mind
Mm-hmm.
gets awakened, and then you are able to call the wind.
Mm-hmm. So there is a knowledge component that you have to know the name, like practically, but there's also an emotional component where you have to feel it, to feel like it. That's what you
I
think.
think you can. I think you don't can know the name, but not call the wind. I think, yeah,
You have
I
me
think it's
confused
not.
there.
I think it's not possible that you know the wind, the
Hmm.
name of the wind, but not be able to call it. So if
Okay.
you,
Hmm.
so you only know it if your sleeping mind is awakened.
Hmm.
And the name is something that in this incident you just know or feel, and you can say something that is the wind in that at the time in that
Hmm.
moment. And when that moment passed, then you don't remember this name anymore.
Hmm.
That is how I interpreted this in the story.
Hmm. Because one thing I thought is maybe it's as simple as there is a name of the wind, and if you know it, you can call it as much as you want. But it's such a well-preserved secret that so few people know the name that it's just how it works.
No, I don't think that
Mm-hmm.
that's it. I think
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
this information would be leaking too much.
yeah, I can see that.
Okay, what happens afterwards?
Mm. At some point, Quoth gets to talk with Ben for the first time.
Hmm.
We see that Quoth very quickly see that Abenthy or Ben would be a nice mentor. I think it gets that very quickly,
Hmm.
and and then Quoth said, "I may be overstepping myself a little, as an 11-year-old might be, yep, but let me be the first to welcome you to the troop."
Yeah, but I think it's really, really nice.
Hmm.
And yeah, this is how Abenthy joins his troop, at least for a little while.
Hmm.
Yeah, do you have anything else about this chapter?
I don't.
I have two, I think two or three other mentionings, and it's
Hmm.
again about this theory that his mother is, yeah, from the Legless family,
Hmm.
and there's just one thing that I tried to maybe figure out, but I um, cannot remember anything about this. So, Quoth said that he visited some relatives from his mother at three crossings
Hmm.
when he was very young,
Hmm.
and also just this one time. Um, yeah, and I unfortunately didn't found anything about three crossings,
Hmm.
where it is located or who might live there.
Hmm.
But I think this would be really interesting. Yeah, who are these relatives that both
Hmm.
saw for this one time?
Hmm.
Also, who would his mother be visiting or willing to visit when he left this family? And also, I think she was disowned. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this is one thing that I was really curious about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah, maybe
I would
maybe the
really,
listeners will
mm,
know more. Yeah, what do you want to say?
I would really like to know where the three crossings are. Now that we are starting to see a little bit of the geography of the world,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, three crossings might be a hint to where it is,
Mm-hmm.
but for
So maybe,
now,
yeah, three big roads that
mm-hmm,
are, at one crossing.
mm-hmm,
And yeah, maybe we will
mm-hmm,
find some more about that.
maybe that's something that we could put on a watch list.
Yeah, maybe. Also, where's the house Legless?
Mm-hmm,
Where on the map are they? I think I'm pretty sure they're also at Winters,
mm-hmm,
so somewhere in the east. And yeah, if there's anything that might be connected to this.
mm-hmm,
Okay, the other thing, and this one I even found more interesting in some way.
mm-hmm,
There's a man in the troop from which Quoth learned woodcraft,
mm-hmm.
and his name is Leglith.
Oh,
So it's so similar to Legless again.
mm-hmm,
He says, I learned woodcraft from a huntsman named Leglith, who traveled with us for nearly a whole season.
mm-hmm,
And yeah, I don't know if it's coincidence or not, but this Leglith and Legless, it's really, really similar.
mm-hmm,
And there's also one other like very parallel that if we see that his mother is a princess and now we have the huntsman, it's a little bit like Snow White and the Huntsman, if you know that story. I'm pretty sure
mm-hmm,
you heard about it. And there's also Snow White the princess, and the huntsman get sent by the evil queen to kill her, but then in the end he helps her. And maybe this huntsman Leglith was sent um, by the Legless house,
mm-hmm,
um, but in the end traveled a little bit with the troop and taught Quoth some woodcraft.
mm-hmm. Yeah, when there is such occurrences, like for example the lackless, and so opportunities for people being close or not close. I
Mm-hmm.
sometimes think about, does Patrick Rothfuss does it on purpose because there is a world story and he thinks about it,
Mm-hmm.
and he wants to join the bridges at some point, or maybe
Yeah,
sometimes he just does it because it's fun to open doors, and maybe he can close them at some point, but it just let the opportunity there. And the name sounds similar.
yeah,
Maybe we can think about it. Maybe there will it will never be something relevant.
exactly.
Mm,
Maybe in his mind, he made this connection, but
hmm
will never talk about it again.
hmm But for the most part, knowing how much writing and rewriting Patrick Rothfuss does for every book, I
I think
like
he
I like to
took
believe.
over 10 years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like to believe that there is always a reason for things, and it's not a
Mhm.
lazy open door like you
Yeah.
could see in other books.
Yeah. Okay. I think one other note is that I have or two is one is Deonica. I think it's some play that is mentioned quite a bit.
hmm
And I think it's later mentioned as well in the story, also with Dana.
hmm
And yeah, maybe we will figure a little bit out what this story is about.
hmm
And the other thing is that I think we talked about this as well, but these folks we are visiting here with Quos are this God-fearing people,
hmm
and it's Telu they are referring
Mm-hmm.
to when we hear God.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in general Telu is the god in this world. And I think I haven't heard about any other god except
Mm-hmm.
for Telu.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you have any idea where we are right now in the world? Maybe it will be
Oh,
interesting to know where the people believe in Chile when we're not. Is there
I
any
think we are. I
hint?
think right now we are in the west of the map. So in
Mm-hmm.
the I don't have the map in front of me, but like the
The
common
Commonwealth?
Commonwealth. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think we are somewhere there.
Okay.
I'm sure that in this chapter is also the name of the town, but I don't have it right now in front of me.
Mm-hmm. On the map that I have in front of me, I only see Hollowfell as a city in the Commonwealth that's not Imre or Tabian.
Lofel.
Mm.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
I will look for something in this
Mm-hmm.
chapter.
Because if I remember well, the first part that we followed, we were in somewhere in Vintas,
Hmm.
some on the complete opposite of the map.
Yeah. Okay, now I have found it.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, his father says, so Baron Greyfellow,
Mm-hmm.
my father paused, looking for some spark of recognition on the mayor's face.
Mm-hmm.
Lord of the Eastern Marshes,
Mm-hmm.
for Dumbryn by Theron and the White Count Hills. My father
Mm-hmm.
looked around at the horizon. We are still in the Wood Count Hills, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if any of this shows up in the map, then
Mm-hmm.
that's where we are. So yeah, White Count Hills.
Mm-hmm. One thing that maybe speaks for something else is I imagine the Commonwealth being like something like mm, not a not an I don't imagine that is like a baron having place. I don't know. A Commonwealth for me sounds like the UK with like one
Mm-hmm.
queen or king that's directing everything. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe is there something like called the small kingdoms? Maybe there's small something like this that there's a small kingdom, the baron is like on its own.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much, or I'm not too sure how the monarchs or the noble houses are organized and were
Mm-hmm.
organized back in the early days, also in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's this hierarchy, and
Yeah.
yeah, we have the mayor, and then I think the man above him
Mm-hmm.
is a lord,
Mm-hmm.
and above the lord is the baron,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it might be possible that above the baron there's a king.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, could be.
it might still
Mm-hmm.
be true to the Commonwealth or to the UK,
Mm-hmm.
like we know it maybe from our history.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anything else?
Now we can go ahead.
Then head to chapter 9.
Chapter 9. Chapter 9 is called Riding in a Wagon with Ben. In this chapter, there is a lot of description of the interactions between Ben and Quoth, and how is Ben starting to teach Ben.
Exactly. He not only teaches him in some various subjects that we might know from school,
Mm-hmm.
but he also, kind of teaches him how to sharpen his mind and,
Mm-hmm.
um, so how to improve your mental skills. And yeah, we also, I think, see how Quoth and Ben become, true friends. in
Mm-hmm.
this chapter.
Mm-hmm. There's the first sentence that I've highlighted there
Mm-hmm.
is when Quo says, "I've got nothing but time,"
Mm-hmm.
because Ben wants to start explaining something that's very difficult, and Quo realizes that when you're a child,
Mm-hmm.
it's your only resource, having time.
Yeah.
Um, and it's a very mature thing to say, and Ben says it too. You don't sound as young as you look,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm a bit conflicted because Quoth doesn't show a lot of wisdom most of the time. Is most likely most of the time is pretty much impatient and tries to do
Mm-hmm.
things before due time. And as a child, where it's the most difficult to be patient because you don't know that things come with time, it
Mm-hmm.
shows the biggest wisdom that you can have as a child. So I'm a bit conflicted because I'm happy to see it. It's a nice reflection for a child to have, but it feels a bit out of character, don't you
Mm-hmm.
think?
Partially yes. And then on the other hand, I think that we often see that yes, he is impatient and maybe not so wise,
Hmm.
but he is very skilled in conversation. So he is
Hmm.
witty and he knows what to say to get what he wants usually.
Hmm.
And yeah, maybe especially as a child when he had many of these situations where he got underestimated.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's not too new for him.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, for me, it might be just a skill that he has to say the right thing. So
Hmm.
yeah, maybe he's not wise in this moment, although
Hmm.
he says something wise.
Hmm.
But it's just some skill that he has in this moment.
I can live with that.
But yeah, I liked it. I liked it very much. I think um I love this. Like yeah, he gets underestimated, and then Ben thinks, yeah, you don't look so you don't seem so young as you look.
Hmm. Yeah. If if all the kids in the world would know that they have nothing but time, the world would be very different, I believe.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
that's a that's a very that's a very big step that Costa has done there.
Yeah. Um. Okay. So yeah, then Ben tells him about sympathy, about things that he would call magic,
Hmm.
and then he also shows him this his Arcanum Gilder. So
Hmm.
this necklace with a kind of amulet where um, his Quoth's hand gets numb when he touches this,
Hmm.
and also Abenthy says that some stories say Tabalin the Great went to the university to learn the name of all things. And yeah, this is I think we mentioned it earlier that um, Tabalin the Great might have been a canist.
Hmm.
So this is where this parallel comes from, I think.
Hmm. And then they are talking about having a knack, having a
Oh
knack
yeah.
for finding water or guessing at the weather. And Quoth
Yes.
mentions Trip. Trip rolls
Hmm.
sevens when they play dice or something like this.
And
And
Abenthy, of course, thinks that yeah, a
mhm.
trip is just a cheater.
Yeah, but at some point, Ben gives up and says, "My
Hmm.
apologies. That does sound like a knack. I'd be curious to see it."
Yeah.
Yeah,
What do you think about these snags?
I'm a bit confused, I must say. Like, I cannot imagine how it works. I'm like, maybe the the cheating part could be true, but other way in the with the magic that there is, like the sympathy and the names
Hmm.
of things, I could imagine. that something like a knack will be possible. Like if you know the name of the dice, for example, then you could tell him to do stuff. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm a bit. I'm a bit unsure how it's supposed to work. Do you have any ideas?
I don't think that it's the name of the diet. So, yeah, I think you asked last time or the time before that in the first episode, whether or not there is something like real magic or something that they would um,
Mm-hmm.
describe as real magic. And I think these necks are just some other type of magic. So
Mm-hmm.
sympathy is something else as naming, and I think these necks are, yeah, just some other thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there has to be an explanation or there
Mm-hmm.
is one. It's just that some people have these necks, and yeah, Abernathy tells about um, a young man that he knew that who was uncommonly good with plants and grew tomatoes and some vines very, very fast.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think I think it's just some interesting additional kind of magic.
Mm-hmm. For me, the I'm a very cynical person, maybe, but
Mhm.
I think of it as just like probability. I mean,
Mhm.
there's always a world when you roll only sevens your whole life, right? It's not impossible. It's just an infinitesimal probability, and maybe that's what they are. And sometimes there's a few exceptions, but when people have a narrative, then they like to they have the narrative to stick, so they find excuses for the things not working. So I believe that there is not really something like knacks in this case, but
Uh-huh.
it's more something like that fits people's narratives and a bit of luck, and so it goes.
Yeah, that's I think that's a really, really fun aspect that, yeah, of course, if there are a billion people and they are living a billion lives, then
Hmm.
there's bound to be one person who in his whole life only rolls seven.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that's a really fun thing to think about.
Hmm.
Um, okay, then yeah, if we go on a little bit, there's just one line I like to mention because I really liked it very much.
Hmm.
Um, Quoth asks Avanthy, "Could you teach me some of those other things I asked?"
Hmm.
And Avanthy then he smiled, and it was easy as that.
Hmm.
And I think it's just really, really beautifully written, and um, this moment that yeah, this friendship is it just seems so natural and
Hmm.
yeah, easy,
Hmm.
and I like it very much.
Hmm. Yeah, I like when there's something like a case in point or point in case. um, it smiled and it was as easy as that, and the sentence is as easy as that too. So I like
Mhm.
when the content of the sentence is the same thing as the way the sentence is written. I don't know if I explain
True.
it right, but I think you got
I
it.
think I know what you mean because Patrick here does not describe how apathy answers and
Hmm.
how this conversation proceeds. He
Hmm.
just said he smiled and it was easier. Is that so? Also, Patrick kind of took an easy way out of this conversation.
Mm. And it led me to think, it may be a bit off topic, but I just thinking about it. Um, I studied education, right? And
Hmm.
studying education is a weird thing because it's a lot of metagame. Like you are teaching education, but you are educating at the same time.
Hmm.
And it's really tough because if you teach something how you should educate people, but you don't do it in the same time, then it loses a lot of value.
Ah,
And there was a lot of case where you could see, okay, I'm getting told by someone about how to teach, and the people b- managed to do what they say at the same time, and it was very good to learn when you have example in the same sentence, and what they say and what they do is the same. And it was
Hmm.
very tough to learn when the people were not doing what they say. Like they are teaching about like group learning, but we didn't do any group learning for the for the whole semester. So
Yeah.
so when I see a smile and it was as easy as that, and the sentence as easy as what it describes, so I like the thing about how much power it wears, and
Hmm.
and I think I can really understand why you like the sentence.
Yeah. Yeah, and with that, Abinthy started to teach quote about chemistry, about medicines, um, and yeah, also to sharpen his knight. And yeah, there's one little thing I wanted to mention. He made him play Tirani,
Mm-hmm.
um, and both had to keep track of the stones in his head. So yeah, it seems to be a little bit like chess or Go or
Uh-huh.
yeah, some board game like that
Mm-hmm.
that both had to play in his head. And
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, yeah, just because I know that you also like to play chess and I do
Mm-hmm.
as well. Um, yeah, what do you think about that one?
Mm. The first thought that I associated with tyranny, I thought about Risk. Do you know the board game Risk?
Risk, like where you
Mm-hmm.
have this continent and you have to take
Exactly.
over the
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. When they say tyranny, that was the kind of game I thought about.
Oh, okay.
So it would also be something that you would have to memorize where the pieces are, but it's not as important as in chess, for example, where
Hmm.
mm, but I can very well believe that it's good to forge your mind, but it's also not not something where you don't learn things that are very transferable. You are working on your memorization and it's
Hmm.
useful, but you cannot transfer it very easily. Just like being good at chess doesn't mean that you're smart. It doesn't translate well in
Exactly.
any other things.
Exactly. You just, yeah, as you said, you learn to memorize and maybe to make pictures in your head.
Mhm.
And have you tried playing chess in your mind?
I've tried last week actually. It's easy that you
Uh-huh.
talk about it.
Tell me about it.
It was really tough. I tried to work on my opening repertoire in my mind,
Hmm.
but I was struggling with the diagonals. Is this diagonal open or is it
Yeah,
closed?
yeah.
Is there a sniper on the corner of the chessboard? I at some point I'd stopped trying. I think I could do it if I trained more, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah. I also tried it a few times, and I think in chess, memorizing the pieces are okay possible. I think the
Mhm.
pawns are very difficult because there are so many of them. So
Mhm.
yeah, remembering where the pawns are
Mhm.
and if they are still there or not, that was hardest for me.
Mhm.
And aside from the memorizing part, it is really hard for me to um, yeah, as you said, the diagonals and to have this picture and see, okay, I know I have a bishop there,
Mhm.
and what is it attacking, or is it
Mhm.
attacked by something? And yeah, this far range across the board, that's really difficult to see. So yeah, there are two pieces I think that needs to be mastered in this skill, the memorizing part, but also the picturization.
Mhm. Yeah. And maybe one last thing that I would like to mention for this chapter.
Hmm.
It's I don't know if it's worth discussing, but there's a new nickname for Force. Apparently, started to call me Red. I think it's
Ah,
pretty
right.
self-explanatory why why
Yeah.
it's why is it, but I don't think it will help us so much to understand everything. But it's nice to see another nickname that wasn't told before.
Hmm. Right. Yeah. Um, I have one other thing, and it's again about the nags.
Mm-hmm.
I was just curious because I do not remember that we get to see after this chapter any mention of a nag again in
Oh.
both the books.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm just curious if there are any. Maybe the listeners will know some, or maybe we will see some on our read throughs, but
Mm-hmm.
rereads. But yeah, as for now, I don't think that it's ever mentioned again. I think that's not so usual. Maybe most of the times when you introduce a sub rule on your magic system, then
Mm-hmm.
it has a reason and it will come back. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for now,
Yeah.
I don't know if there are any other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if there isn't any, that speaks for Nax being explainable with very practical reasons like luck
Mhm.
and narratives.
Yeah.
All
Okay, I
right.
think
Should we go
that's
on the
it.
last chapter of today?
Let's
Chapter
go to
10.
chapter 10.
Chapter 10. Allow and several stones. What is it about, Marzi?
In this chapter, Quoth gets introduced to the Alar, a form of believing in something. And yeah, with time, Quoth managed to master many exercises regarding this Alar.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is the first thing that you have highlighted in this chapter?
Mm. Um, I'm starting to realize maybe I confused chapter 10 and 11 and, and I've noticed I've okay.
Then
I have no notes right now. You could
okay,
start.
then yeah, I will maybe keep you up then.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, as I've summarized it as already, so this is the chapter where Ben tells him that he has this rock, and Quoth should believe that this rock will go up instead of go down.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so Quoth has really to believe this, and when Ben lets go of the rock, it fell.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, Ben gives him many other exercises, and that's basically the chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing I highlighted, was just because I think it was very funny. Um, it is this moment um, where Ebenthy lets go of the rock.
Mm-hmm.
It fell, and Quoth began to get a headache.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think it's just I imagined it in my head. There's this kid who truly believes that this rock will go up,
Mm-hmm.
but then it goes down, and then he just gets a headache. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was picturing in this case, um, maybe that maybe it's Ben's way to teach sympathy as the first thing of sympathy,
Yeah,
and
definitely. Yeah.
maybe there is maybe he got Quoth to make a connection between his mind and the rock,
Hmm.
but because the gravity is so much stronger as the mind, then Quoth put his whole strength for the rock to go up, but it got neglected um,
Hmm.
from the gravity. So I could imagine that the pain is legit, and because you just try to
Hmm.
walk against gravity with your mind.
So you think there might be some magical connection between his headache and the fact that the rock fell?
Yeah, I could see a symbolic binding there, right?
Hmm. Yeah, it might be some, yeah, just some little connection there. Yeah, definitely.
Hmm. And you mentioned the allow, like the way you are trying to doing some kind of mental gymnastics.
Hmm.
Do you think it's allow is exactly a synonym for concentration, or do you think it's something else?
Um, I think the alar is not concentration so much.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to concentrate very much to have a good alar. But I
Mm-hmm.
think the alar is more about believing
Mm-hmm.
something really, really strongly. So yeah, believing that this stone will go up. If you truly, truly can believe this, because you know it won't go up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you can believe it, then if you can truly believe it, then you have a strong alarm.
Mm-hmm. So it's about the ability of influencing your beliefs.
Yes, I think that's it.
Mm-hmm. It will be really useful in real life, right? Because
Um,
at some point
mhm,
there is a lot of what we're doing, and the chance of things succeeding is a lot
mhm,
depending of if you believe that you will succeed, right?
definitely. Yeah.
And if you would be able to always believe it with your whole heart, even if it's
Mhm.
hopeless, then it will be really strong in real life, I believe.
I think for me, it would make the biggest difference before some exams or something, because
Hmm.
I know that no matter if I pass the exam or if I fail the exam,
Hmm.
um, my life won't be ruined.
Hmm.
Life goes on, and it's not that bad. But yeah,
Hmm.
people often feel so much fear or anxiety, and I think if you would truly believe and truly know,
Hmm.
nothing bad will happen,
Hmm.
then we would feel a lot less anxiety and a lot less fear.
Hmm. So would you also think that uh, Allah is nothing magic, and everyone also in real life has an Allah if you look it that way? And you could say, oh, this person has a bad Allah, or this person has a good Allah, like looking
Mhm.
at people.
That's a good question. Um, I think maybe on some level, yes. I think the example that I said, like
Hmm.
knowing something but not feeling that way,
Hmm.
like knowing nothing bad will happen but still feel anxious.
Hmm.
um, I think that's very different for many people,
Hmm.
and maybe this is some variety or some kind of alarm,
Hmm.
how your beliefs affect your emotions. Maybe
Hmm.
that's something that I can see connected to that. Yeah.
Hmm. For example, I see myself as someone very optimistic. So most of
Hmm.
the time, I believe that things will work out. And
Hmm.
I think it's very useful in real life most of the time. But
Hmm.
I don't think I have a good control on it, right? I'm most
Okay.
I'm most influenced by my experiences and how my mind works in some ways. And so I will say I don't have a strong Allah because I couldn't influence that much because I always think in the same direction. But I don't know if it makes sense
Mhm.
because I don't know if Allah is only that.
I think also the alar is to change your beliefs, to actively change your beliefs.
Hmm.
And I think that's just something that we don't do so much in real life.
Hmm.
Um, but there is one thing that I also tried some while ago,
Hmm.
that's called affirmation. I don't know if you heard about this before.
I
It's
don't think so.
it's just something that you write down very
Hmm.
often, for example, before you go to sleep and after you wake up.
Hmm.
And it's just something you write something down that you want to believe or that you want to happen.
Hmm.
So by writing it down very often, um, you convince yourself more about it, and maybe you hope that your subconscious maybe believes in this as well. So
Hmm.
if you write something very often, then it will affect yourself as well. And
Hmm.
this might be something like changing your beliefs.
Hmm. I've read something that um, we people that are like pessimistic or thinking a lot of negative stuff, a lot of the
Hmm.
time they are being told that they have to think more positively. But I've
Hmm.
read that also it's not helpful at all if you're trying to do positive thinking. When you're not thinking that way, then it's most likely it's more destructive
Hmm.
than constructive. So,
Hmm. Yeah, it might be just more stressful, and you
mhm,
forbid yourself even more to think about bad stuff, and it just stresses you out.
mm. But also one thing I thought about is, for example, for the belief on the stone going up, I think it's interesting because if you only have a practical stand of view, then you will think about your experience. I've always seen the rock falling, so it will stay the same my whole life. But the more you
Hmm.
know about science and how gravity works and everything, then you begin to see, oh, there is another way. If the gravity wasn't that way, if the gravity was any other way, then it could happen. Anything could happen. So I could also see the allow depending on your knowledge, and that would also explain
Hmm.
why the teaching is so extensive and there's so much thing about um, science in general because changing your beliefs has a lot to do with how much you know and how much you're allowed to open your mind to new theories.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. And yeah, speaking of this, what is real and what is not real, there's a game that Quoth plays with himself, and that's called
Hmm.
Seek the Stone.
Yeah.
And he splits there his mind, and one part hides it in his mind, or I
Hmm.
think he imagines a room,
Hmm.
and he hides the stone in the room,
Hmm.
and then his other part has to find this.
Hmm.
And first, do you think this is possible?
Yeah, that was the point where I was started to believe that there is nothing comparable in our world.
Hmm.
Do you?
Because I actually posted this question on Reddit. So I asked people if they think that this is real or not. And yeah, most people don't think it is real. But yeah, there are some people saying maybe with some disorder, mental disorder, this might be possible, or some say that they are bad at picturing stuff in their mind, but
Hmm.
um, dream a lot of in pictures, and then
Hmm.
yeah, this might be a way to get closer to this scenario.
Hmm.
And what else there's some how is it called, tulpamancy. This is, I think, some practice of, yeah, it's this tulpamancy is creating some originally is creating some imaginary friend,
Hmm.
but in modern terms it's, yeah, some meditation art, and this is something where you create, like, to try to create some other part in your mind, so
Hmm.
another conscience maybe. um and this is might be something that gets close to it. And for myself, um I oftentimes, when I am in a situation where I think, do I need to remember this?
Hmm.
And then I think, no, my future self will know when will need when I need this information,
Hmm.
what to do to get this information.
Hmm.
And I think it's close to that, to this. And um, or maybe if you don't remember what you ate for breakfast last day,
Hmm.
you first go through your day. So you stood up and
Hmm.
um, took a shower, and then step by step, you know how to get this information by recreating your day. And yeah, this is something which I think would really, really work for this.
Hmm.
But you have to be able to forget something on purpose. And this
Hmm.
is the part where I don't see that. we are able to do this.
Yeah, I think the main problem is n- trying not to think about something is impossible, right? You can
Mhm.
only think about something. We cannot think negatively, right? Also not negatively
Yeah,
in a sense negative, but so I think that's just something that's not possible, I believe, but maybe there's always a way for some stuff.
yeah.
Other way I
Maybe it's
wouldn't
just,
reach perfection, I believe.
mhm. And maybe it's just some um, acting. So you act like you don't know where the stone is,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, you just get really, really well at acting this stuff out. I read on Reddit that so one person wrote that he does this when trying to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
That yeah, he hides stone and then he kind of
Mm-hmm.
acts like he doesn't know, and
Mm-hmm.
he just, what would I do if I'm in a room and we're looking for a stone? I would look there. No, it's
Mm-hmm.
not there. And yeah, this is, I think, a little game that you can play, but it's
Yeah.
more acting.
Yes, that's the closest I imagine to real life.
Mm,
I think it's pretty much on point to what I believe.
yeah. Okay. So I don't know. Do you have anything else about this?
I think I'm good for chapter 10. I have a lot about chapter 11, but that's for next time.
That's for next time, but you're prepared for next time. That's
Mm-hmm.
good. I have quick mention. We first get to read about Heart of Stone.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a mental exercise where you let aside your emotion,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we really often get to see it in the story,
Mm-hmm.
and it's mentioned the first time here. And then in the end of the chapter, um, it's mentioned that sympathy is not for the weak of mind, and
Mm-hmm.
it's mentioned about about getting cracked, and this is, I think, a little bit foreshadowing about the many mentally ill people at the university who
Mm-hmm.
got cracked somehow. And last but not least, but probably will not be able to answer this. Evancy says, "I want you to believe the rock will fall, and that the rock will not fall when I let go of it." He grinned. "I went to bed late that night. I had a nosebleed and a smile of satisfaction." So it's again a little bit funnily written here.
Mm-hmm.
And Quoth is supposed to believe that the rock will fall and not fall at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just curious, where did he get the nosebleed from? What do you
Mm.
think?
For me, it sounds similar than the headache afterwards that the stone falls.
Uh-huh.
Maybe he had something like a sympathy batting in both directions, and it was fighting against itself.
Hmm.
And similar to the headache, the nosebleed comes from it, maybe.
Yeah, it seems most likely.
Mm.
I was I was thinking maybe he was he got like punched by Amity or something for, I don't know, because he was maybe outrageous, that because it's like, imagine you have to, for 1 hour, you have to convince yourself that this rock will fall.
Mm-hmm.
Then it doesn't fall. And then your teacher tells you, now you have to believe that it will fall and not fall at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it might be a little funny way for Patrick Rothfuss to say that in this moment, Quoth lost his control
Mm-hmm.
and Timothy punched him for being not patient.
Maybe that's also a way to teach the limits of the magic in this world. To say, oh,
Maybe.
you can do that, but that's not possible.
Yeah.
And there was also a thing that I would like to bounce off, well, from what you said. You talked about the heart of stone, a mental exercise
Hmm.
that let you set aside your emotions and prejudice to let you think clearly about whatever you wished. That really sounds like
Hmm.
concentration now, right?
Yes. For me,
Okay,
this, I
that's
would
like
agree.
Some like
Stone
of
seems like.
concentration training.
Yeah, concentration, but yeah, also with this addition to not to set your emotions aside. So not concentrate on what you feel, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe on facts and
Mm-hmm.
really on your thoughts in your head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something that I would believe anyone can do or has in some capacity.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I think for me that's it for chapter 10.
Yep, for me too. So,
Then should we do some who said it?
I have two sentences for you today.
Okay. I think last time I started. Do you
Mm-hmm.
want to start this time?
I can. So I will start with the quote, but I will not say it fully. I will omit a word, but I can say the
Yeah,
last word
sure.
if you need to. Please, we're all friends here. Feel free to call me by my first name.
Huh. I
And
think I
and the,
know who said
and
this.
afterwards there is a word, and I can tell you if you keep searching.
Um, I think it's the Aeolian. Is this right?
Tell me what you think.
I think it's Graf. I don't know how to say his name. Graf Threpp. This is his
Ah,
name. I would
no,
lock in this one.
no. But I can tell you the
It's
last
not.
word that I omitted.
Okay.
Feel free to call me by my first name, Master.
Feel free to call me by my first name, Master.
Mm-hmm.
What master offers him to call him by his first name? I don't think that it's a master of the one that at the university. Feel free to call me. Can
By
you
my
repeat it one last time?
Yep. Please, we're all friends here. Feel free to call me by my first name, Master.
Um, hmm. Is it at the Aeolian?
No.
It's not. Okay. Man, I don't know because my second guess would be the owner of the Aeolian.
No.
Um, but then I don't know. I have to give up.
Mm. You rejected the possibility that it was a master from the university, but it was one.
It is?
It is Master
So it's
Elodin. Oh, sorry.
yeah, okay, no, it's fine. I wouldn't have guessed it.
Mm. I
What
think
is
I think the scene is from one scene where Quoth is drunk and is coming back and he meets Master Elodin,
mhm.
and yes, and that's what it says.
But what is the second name? I don't know Elodin's second name.
Also, the 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 sentence before it is Master Elodin. I said, then stopped. I had no idea what I could possibly say in a situation like this, and
Ah,
that's the answer. He doesn't want to be called Master Elodin, just only Master.
okay. Good old Elodin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good one, good one. Okay.
I'm ready for yours.
Um, okay. I think I've dug up their reason after all this while. I've teased it together from bits and pieces of story.
That's it.
That's it.
Wow. Can you repeat, please?
I think I've dug up their reason after all this while. I've teased it together from bits and pieces of story.
Uh-huh. So there's someone that's doing a lot of research work
hmm
and understands everything.
hmm So maybe a little hint.
Mm-hmm.
Who might be meant by their? So I think I've dug up their reason.
Mm-hmm.
So we also mentioned it already that at the beginning of this episode.
Hmm. But
So
they, um,
whose reasons are we curious about?
hmm That's also what I'm asking myself.
Hmm?
I think I would need to know it. I don't have any idea right now.
Okay, so in the beginning of the episode, we talked about whether or not the Chandrian or the Amir are bad or
Hmm
evil, and that we don't know what their motivations or what their reasons
Yes?
are. So this person who says this meant the Chandrian. So
hmm
maybe with this you
hmm
have a clue there. So I think I've dug up their reason after all this while. I've teased it together from bits and pieces of story.
hmm Um, so Wu is interested about the Chandrian is also researching about them. I mean, Quoth is the first obvious one, but
Hmm.
I don't believe Quoth understands the Chandrian, right? It will
Right.
surprise me that he will be saying that.
Yeah, that's right.
So we will need someone that's confident about knowing this,
Hmm.
but I cannot think of anybody right now.
Okay, another hint. This person is not alive anymore.
Hmm. Who dies? There are not so much people that are dying right now, right?
No, so in chapter 10, this
Mm-hmm.
person is still alive.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in this book, he dies.
There's so few people that are dying in this book,
Mhm.
right? I think.
Who do you who do you know who dies?
Mhm. Hmm. The dragon is dying.
Yeah.
It's the only one I can think about right now.
Okay, so
But
he
it was not
says
the dragon that said it, right?
no, it was not.
Mm-hmm.
So last clue, if you don't get it, then it's
Mm-hmm.
fine. Last clue, it is said, I think, in the next few chapters.
Oh,
So
maybe someone of the troop.
yes.
Mm, yeah, I could have think about it. Um, mm,
Do you
the
know the reason why the Tanrian killed the troop, or do you remember
um,
what we think that their reason are?
I thought that the reason is because they are saying or thinking stuff about them.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Who sang? Who sang about the Chandrian?
Mm. Uh, I assume was the parents, of course.
Yes,
Mm-hmm. And I have to
yes.
choose one of them now.
You have to,
Let's
yeah.
let's say the father.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, the story behind this is that his father seems to be collecting stuff about the Chandrian, and yeah, then he starts singing about them, and um, I think at the big festival, right before they die, he just thinks a part of it, not the whole
Mm-hmm.
song,
Mm-hmm.
and after the troop dies. So
Okay.
unfortunately, we still don't know what the reasons of the challenge are,
Mm-hmm.
though Quo's father seems very confident to have figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, unfortunately, we don't get to know it. And yeah, this is when this
Mm-hmm.
quote, when Quo's father talks to Abinthy about the Chandrian, Quo's father says this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could very be a topic for
Yeah,
next
I
time.
think next episode we will get to it.
Mm-hmm. All
Okay,
right.
I'm ready for my second one.
Mm-hmm. There is I will say two I mean I will say the quote and the answer to it to help you, but it's only
Hmm.
about the first one.
Hmm.
You pick one. Say it. Don't they teach you names at the university? Annabelle, I suggested.
Mhm. Um, okay, this has to be quote, right? I think it's when um
Annabelle, I suggested is mean it's course says Annabelle. The question
okay,
is
and
who say the sentence before.
it's I know this. It's Dana, and it's when they are talking about a name for her secret
Hmm.
patron,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. Yeah, exactly. And
Um,
and then they are laughing about the name.
yeah, yeah, I remember this one
Hmm.
because Annabelle is just it was
Hmm.
this name that I had in my mind still.
Yeah, good one.
Okay, last one for you.
Hmm.
It goes like this. Have you heard the one about the tinker, the talon, the farmer's daughter, and the butter churn yet? I think it's really hard to get where this is coming from if it's some time ago that you read the
Uh-huh.
book. But maybe you have an idea. So how does it sound for you? Have you heard the one about the tinker, the talon, the farmer's daughter, and the butter churn yet?
It sounds like they're talking about a joke.
Yes, right.
Hmm.
Yeah, totally true. And maybe because I'm sure without a hint this would be too hard.
Hmm.
So this person tells a joke
Hmm.
or says this to distract someone.
Hmm.
So
So the direction I'm thinking is where are the places where you tell joke is at the bar, like maybe at the I forgot the name of the music place in Immerl,
Aeolian.
At the Aeolian. I'm thinking about this place right now, and the kind of people I'm thinking about is also the university people because they are like friends that are doing jokes and stuff like this.
Hmm. So you are right about your second assumption
Mm-hmm.
that it's from a university person. It's not the Aeolian. So the
Mm-hmm.
purpose of this joke is not actually to tell the joke, but it's to break someone's concentration.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it's in some kind of duel, like when they're
Yes.
dueling in class and somebody try to get a sneaky win.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So who do you think tells this joke?
Uh, um, I don't remember a lot of the people that are in the class.
Hmm.
I think some female student I can think about, but I don't have the name in my mind right now.
It's
I
not a female one.
but I could think about maybe the teacher doing it to test the pupils.
I really like that guess, but it's not.
Oh, um, I mean, I don't think I can think of the name of the people that's saying it.
Yeah, okay, then I will tell it to you. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So it is actually Quoth saying this,
Oh, I didn't
and
even consider that.
and it's when Quoth duels. I think Felton might be the name of his opponent,
Mm-hmm.
and there's this betting going on,
Mm-hmm.
and Quoth and he both have a candle, and
Mm-hmm.
they have to try to make the candle of the other person burn,
Mm-hmm.
and at the same time prevent their own candle from burning.
Mm-hmm.
And to distract his opponent, Quoth starts with this joke and
Mm-hmm.
tries some stuff to get him distracted, but
Mm-hmm.
in the end, does not it doesn't seem that these jokes work.
Yeah, it's always the same when you have to concentrate yourself and you want to make the people unfocused. You most of the time you're just disturbing
Yeah,
yourself more than the opponent.
definitely.
I think I have a lot of example of that in sports in general.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, I could have guessed it because it fits Quo's character to get a sneaky win that way.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, that's it for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a nice episode. I enjoyed talking about it with you, and
Yeah, me too.
I'm looking forward to the next
Some
one too.
nice episode, nice chapters that
Mm-hmm.
we had this time. Yeah. Okay, then until next time, right?
Yep. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.